The layers panel is a panel that you're going to use with every single project that you do. It lists all the layers in a document, displaying the layer names, the thumbnails that show the content of each layer. You can use the layers panel to hide, view, reposition, delete, rename, and merge layers. You can also add and remove masks. You can filter certain layer types, lock certain layer types, and change the blend mode, opacity, and fill. If you right click on the layer, you'll have all these options that we're going to go over in 1 second. And if you double click on a layer, it's going to open up the layer style dialog box. And I got videos on this, so if you want to check those out, I'll probably link them in the description below. And there's many different layer types. I'm going to name them off real quick, but we're not going to go into what each one is. That's not for this video. We got pixel layers, which are just raster images made out of pixels that are not smart objects. Then we got two different kinds of smart objects. We got embedded and linked. Then there's adjustment layers, video layers, shape layers, type layers, generative layers, and 3D layers. You also got things like groups and artboards, which technically take up a layer, but they're not an actual layer type. But let's break down the options and settings. So first, you can filter layers by type. You can filter by the kind, the name, effect, mode, attribute, color, smart objects, selected, artboards, and groups. Over here you can filter by pixel layers, adjustment layers, type layers, shapes, and smart objects. If you want to turn on and off the filtering, you just click this button here to gray it out. After that, we got blend modes, and I got a video going over every single one of these blend modes and what they are a little more in depth. But just remember, this is the blend mode for the layer itself. There's also blend modes for tools. See how the brush here has blend modes in the options? This is different than these blend modes. These are specifically for the layer that you have selected. Then we got our opacity slider, right? And fill. Right here we can lock certain aspects. We can lock the transparent pixels, the image pixels, the positioning. This is used to prevent auto nesting into and out of artboards and frames. And then this locks all the attributes and makes it basically like a background layer. To unlock it, you just click on the little lock icon down here and you can unlock it. Moving down to the bottom, we have these options here. This first one is link layers. It's grayed out, so you're gonna have to hold Control and select another layer and have two or more selected, and then you can link them together. You can see they have the icon right here linking them. If you want to take it off, just click the unlink button. But when they're linked, if you move one, the other one's going to move with it. Then we got the FX button. This is exactly the same as if you were going to double click on the layer right here. It opens up this. This thing just shows the options without the pop-up, and then once you click it, any of them, it's going to open this up. After that, you can apply a layer mask using this button here. This allows you to non-destructively hide parts of your image. You just make sure you're selected on the mask thumbnail. You can tell by the little white outlines at the corners. Don't have this selected. Select the mask itself, and then get your brush with black in your foreground color. And then if you were to paint, you can see it removes it from the image because we painted black on the mask. If we were to hold shift and click on it, it hides it. So you can see we non-destructively did it, so we can always bring this back. You can also switch the color to white if you have your brush tool and paint back over it, and it paints white back in the mask so it's visible. Anything white is going to show through, anything black is going to hide it in the image. Next, we got adjustment layers. If you click this, we got all these different adjustments you can choose from. These are different than the adjustments if you go to image adjustments. See, if I click levels here, it opens up a dialog box. Let's just change that and click OK. You can see there's no layer for it. You can't control it again. That actually burns it into the image. Now if I go here and do levels, you don't see any pop-up, but you can go to the properties panel and control everything from here, right? And then you see we have a separate layer for it. If you ever wanted to edit it, you just make sure you select this layer again, come back up here and change the levels. After that, we got group. Now, before you click this button, you're going to want to select whatever layers you want in a group. So say I want everything. If I click this, hold control, click all the layers while I'm holding control, you'll see they're highlighted. That means it's selected. And then you click the folder and it's going to put all of them into one group. Now, if I click the little arrow, it's going to drop down everything so you can see what's in the group. Or you can just hide everything. Now, you don't need to put everything in a group. You can put whatever you want. Say I only want these 2 layers, right? Click group. Then you have your regular layers. And if we drop this down, it shows what's in our group also. And you can tell what's in the group because it's a little bit more to the right. It's a little bit more indented where the thumbnails are. For a layer not in a group, the thumbnail starts all the way over here. And if it's inside the group, it starts over here. After that, we got the new layer button. This just literally adds a new blank layer with nothing on it. And you can use these to put brush strokes, add gradients, do edits with a dodge and burn tool, sharpen tool, whatever you want, right? Then after that is the delete button. Obviously, whatever layers you have selected, which is highlighted, you click this and it deletes it. So you see how this levels is affecting both images. It affects everything underneath it. If we want to only affect one layer or one group, we can put that layer right underneath the levels layer, and then we can hold Alt and hover in between the 2 of them. And when you get this icon here, this means it's going to clip them. When you click down, it clips to just the layer underneath it. And you can see the levels is only affecting this layer. It's not affecting the one underneath it. You can always tell if there's a little arrow pointing down, that means it's clipped to the layer underneath or group. And that's very important too. If you want to do it to multiple layers and not affect others, just put them all in a group and clip it to that group. Next, obviously, you see the eyes here. I've been using it. This is just to hide and show different layers. Alright, so next, if you come to the top right of the layer, there's going to be this hamburger menu. You click it, and we got all these options. These are all the same options as the layer menu. If you click up here on the layer menu, everything that was over here is inside this menu somewhere. And I got another video I'm going to put in the description for this It goes over every single option or setting that you can click on and explains what it is. And there's a lot of them, right? It's a very long video, but it breaks everything down for you. Alright, last but not least, guys, there's right click options. Now, this depends on where you right click. If I right click on the left hand side, all the way over here by the eyeballs, you'll have the options to hide and show, and then you can assign a color to that layer. If I click red, it tags red. I can put blue for this one, yellow, right? And you can just organize however you want. Then if you right click on the thumbnail, it'll have other options for that specific image or layer, whatever layer type it is. Or if you have a mask like these two layers do, you can right click on the mask itself, and then there's some mask options. Now, instead of doing any of that, what I usually do is I just right click off to the right hand side where there's empty space, and then it has all those options in one, right? And all these options are the same options as the layer menu up here at the top, right? Everything in there is inside this menu somewhere. Also, if you're trying to rename a layer, all you gotta do is hover over the name, double click on it, and type in whatever you want. But that's pretty much the layers panel, guys. If you got any questions or comments, make sure to put them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.